Hello again, I am Blunty, and welcome aboard to part 2 of my 3-part review series of the latest game console on the block, the compact cube cruising on Android, the OUYA. Now in the last video I burned down the hardware, this time it's all about the software, and for those keeping score, next time will be all about the arcade and classic game console emulation. But anyway, back to the software. Now, the OUYA runs Android at launch. It's Android version 4.1, also known as Jelly Bean. It's quite nice and stable, and it's widely compatible, so a decent choice there. One of the unique things about the OUYA is that all games published to the system are required to be free, or at least free to try, either as demos or as any various systems, including the dreaded sodding so-called microtransaction crap, but even time-limited or level-limited versions of the games, and some are even free as in beer. But whatever the form, it's damn nice to be able to at least try any and every game before splashing any cash around at all. I wish every game system and app marketplace required absolutely all of their games and apps to be free demos or trials too. It's a great way to go. And apparently, at least according to OUYA's website as I'm recording this, there's 172 games available for the system right now. That's a pretty sizable launch lineup, I think. And clearly I won't be looking at them all in this review, but I will be taking a look at a selection of different game types to see how things go. But we'll get back to the games in a moment. We should start at the start. The interface, or at least the default launcher interface, is a custom jobby from OUYA, and right now it's what I'd call Spartan. The main screen is only 4 text-based selections: play, discover, make and manage. Play takes you to the rather inefficient vertical scrolling twin road display thingy of all your currently installed games and apps. Well, it's not actually all of your currently installed games and apps, only kind of some of them. Some only appear in the make menu, for instance, and if you sideload any apps or games onto the system from alternate sources, they'll appear somewhere else as well. And it turns out some may only reliably appear if you install a completely separate launcher app. So not really the model of user-friendly efficiency here. But in any case, here in Play is where all the games you install from OUYA's own marketplace will live. The Discover menu item will take you directly to what is by any other name the Marketplace, and it is similarly dumbed down in its interface and not terribly pretty. It's a collection of side-scrolling rows divided into sections that make little logical sense with no real consistency, and the most useful ones, like trending and genre selections, are inexplicably buried deep down near the bottom, right above something called Sandbox, which itself offers up no explanation of what the hell Sandbox actually means in this context. Ah well. Next up is the Make menu, which is a starting point for game makers developing their own games, of course, and where you'll find any unofficial apps and games you've plopped onto your device via a sideloading method. And I'll show you the sideloading method that I use later on. It's really easy. And as you can see, you can even install alternate Android marketplaces like Amazon's App Store. Sadly though, because the main official Google Play Store relies on being tied into other Google account hooks that simply don't exist in the OUYA Android system, you can't simply sideload the Google Play Store onto your OUYA and install all of the apps you've already paid for there. And that's a bummer. There's a web browser pre-installed here too, which is basic but usable. Unfortunately, it is not the preferred Google Chrome browser, so I think I'll be soon sideloading the Chrome browser if I can, or something at least a little bit better than the basic one, for some extra functionality. The final menu item, Manage, as you may imagine, is where you manage your account and the system settings in general. And it's here in the advanced settings where OUYA's interface suddenly collapses unceremoniously into raw Android. But that's okay, it still works fine with the controller. Well, it almost works fine. Some adjustments, like the HDMI overscan function, which is supposed to keep crap from bleeding off the edges of your external display, and which I need to work properly because my TV does overscan, well, it doesn't work. You can flip that switch as much as you like, it doesn't change a damn thing, which is quite annoying, as you may imagine. Everything else here will be quite familiar to anyone who has ever set up an Android phone. It's all fairly stock stuff. So, that's the boring stuff. Onto the fun stuff. Let's take a look at a fistful of various games available at launch. Now, some OUYA games are simply direct ports from existing phone games and have maybe had a lick of paint or two to brush up the graphics for big screen 1080p sharpness or whatever. Some are much lazier in their ports. Others are merely clones trying to cash in on the popularity of the real thing. Others still are very popular multi-platform titles, and a few are actually genuinely exclusive. Now, exclusives are something which every game system needs as a selling point. It's, one of the main reasons to buy it. The killer app, the killer software. It's why the original Xbox sold so well. It had Halo, and everyone wanted to play Halo. But some exclusive games on the OUYA, like Final Fantasy III here, are only kind of exclusive. For a start, it's obviously a remake of a game much older than some of you people even watching this. And then there's the fact that remakes of this game already appear for phones and handheld gaming consoles, but this is what OUYA are wanting to call an exclusive big screen version or exclusive TV version or some garbage like that. In any case, it's still a great game, so if you're game for yet another replay through of Final Fantasy III, or you're a newbie who hasn't tried it yet, it's one of the best OUYA selections right now, very polished. Canabalt is still fun, although there's a slight lag from button press to action that makes it somewhat less playable than the phone version I've been enjoying for quite some time now. Red is a twin-stick shooter that you shouldn't really bother with, in my opinion. It's just kind of crappy and awkward, and its really neat art style and otherwise lovely-looking stages just aren't enough to save it from its own sluggish controls and, average playability. DubWars, however, is another twin-stick shooter, but this one has a very awesome tweak. You see, you can move and aim your ship just like any other twin-stick shooter can, but in this game, your weapons only fire in direct response to the dubstep soundtrack. And different parts of the music tracks have different effects and weapon types. It's a very simple concept, but it works really well, and it's epically good fun. And it's a very interesting and fun twist on a classic game style that actually adds some new challenges, as sometimes in the quiet parts of the track you're not shooting at all, so you have to suddenly switch from offense to defense until the beat once again drops and your fat bass cannons can fire once more. I absolutely love this game. Give it a go. You're gonna love it. Unless, of course, you're one of those people who kind of irrationally hates dubstep for some reason. You probably might not enjoy it, but I do. A bit of a fist of awesome is a sample of an upcoming faux retro side-scrolling beat-em-up with needlessly low-res graphics that actually look like garbage up on the big screen. And the gimmick of a lumberjack punching bipedal deer and bears wears off very quickly indeed, revealing a rather shallow and ordinary game barely worth the download. Nothing special here beyond the gimmick. ChronoBlade is a wave-based survival arena brawler with a few bits of RPG sprinkled in. And it is so many kinds of fun. It's easily one of the most polished games at launch for the OUYA. Everything is super smooth and elegant and responsive and fun, and this is all hardly that surprising if you Google for who the people are behind the new studio responsible for this new game. It is going to be a multi-platform game, but I believe for now it is exclusively launching on the OUYA with the others to follow, and it plays damn well. Critical Mission's SWAT is, well, it's just awful. You can tell what game it's trying to be so desperately just by looking at it, but it's just a clumsy and chunky fake, and it's just not that fun. For a much better first-person shooter experience, you'll want to hit the Googles once again and find out how to sideload one of the good FPS games that live elsewhere on the Android system. Like Dead Trigger, for example, which you're looking at here. It's a much better example of how well an FPS can run on the OUYA. I mean, as tired as I am of zombie-based games, it is a good example of the genre. Flashout 3D is yet another Android-based clone of a popular game series. In this case, it's either F-Zero or Wipeout, depending on how old you are and which one you played first. It's a decent enough clone, it looks okay, runs smooth, sounds fine, but the controls need a huge overhaul. They're awful, they're far too twitchy and way oversensitive. You're just smashing into walls left and right, well, literally left and right I guess. Obviously it's a very lazy port over to a controller-based system of a game that was intended to be played with motion controls, I think. Ice Rage is a fun, one-on-one, arcadey style ice hockey game. Very simple, but the physics work well, it looks nice, the controls are nicely implemented, and it's just great fun for a quick blast against your drunken friends. Pinball Arcade is a passable version of the game, but its nickel and dime microtransaction for damn near everything approach really turns me off. Kinito Ninja is basically yet another endless runner style game. This one has some combat elements stapled on and some cutesy graphics to go along with it, but it's nothing special outside of that. And its general interface needs a lot more work for more intuitive control with the gamepad. A much better auto-runner game is Vektor. It's stunningly beautiful and plays really well, adding some parkour-inspired elements to freshen things up and a pursuer to keep things tense. It doesn't make the best use out of the gamepad, I have to say, but it's another one of my recommendations for day one, hour one installs for your new OUYA. It's a brilliantly, highly polished example of the auto-runner, free-runner style gameplay mechanic. Now, this is obviously only a small fistful of the 170-odd games out there in the OUYA market right now at launch, but I think it's a fair representative sample of game types. Everything from quick blast stuff to long-form games you can sink days and days into, from twitchy arcade stuff to RPGs. And the good news is that the good ones are quite good indeed, and the controller feels quite good also. It's an overall quite pleasurable gaming experience. And the fact that you can try any and every game in the OUYA market instantly and for free makes it way easier and way more tempting to wade through the games on offer completely risk-free. You only ever spend your money on the games you love. It's a bloody great system, and again, I wish everybody did it this way. Aside from that, there's a bunch of emulator apps in the official OUYA market already, and still more that can be sideloaded and work quite well, but we'll get to that in the next video. But also on board natively or able to be sideloaded are some nifty non-game apps like Twitch, which works really quite nicely on a basic level, although it could be better as far as controls go. XBMC seems to work quite well. I personally use Plex in my home, which works really nicely. So, on that sideloading thing, there are a few easy ways to go about it, and don't worry, it's easier than you think it is. You don't need to be a super tech head to get it done. You can do it using USB sticks and file managers or with Dropbox, but I've been using an app called AirDroid, which itself has to be sideloaded in the beginning, so you have to use one of the other methods to get it there. But once it is on there, it gives you remote access to your OUYA from any web browser on your network. And from here, you can instantly install any APK, just drag and drop style to sideload apps, and even use the file manager to move stuff around and keep things organized. It's super handy and super easy. Absolutely a must-have app on your OUYA if you're going to be sideloading stuff. Also worth sideloading is Open Launcher. It's a Google TV style launcher app, and it works really nicely with the OUYA controller. You'd think it was made for the OUYA. Well, it was designed to be used on TVs in the first place. So you get a full app drawer and customizable app bars for speedy access to your favorites, and it makes life easy. So, the gaming is good, and I've had lots of success in easily sideloading unofficial apps and having them run completely nicely. It's a very promising start to a highly configurable and customizable Android-based set-top box that delivers really nicely on its gaming promises and open nature. Well, that's it for now. Next video, as I said, we'll dig into how well it pretends to be all of your favorite game consoles from days gone by. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.